Hi everyone, I'm going to continue this series of the Yalkut Yosef, Halacha of Shabbat, at the moment using the second edition, just by a park here in Israel. Nothing like breathing the air of Israel and sharing over some words of Halacha over here in the city of Bet Shemesh. As I'm going to get started, we're going to talk about it today. We've got a nice actual view inside the background, and nothing like starting off the morning with some Torah learning. I'll just get the position of the camera. Let's stand back a bit more. We've got a nice view of some greenery, and we're going to talk about in the Dinei Hatmana today, the laws within regards to Hatmana on Shabbat. What's Hatmana, friends? Let's give over a small introduction here as we commence this session. Hatmana is the act of wrapping some insulating material around the pot or food, or burying it on or before Shabbat. This is done in order to keep it warm until mealtime. Sages instituted, the rabbis did, rules limiting how and when it is permitted to do so. These rules, we're going to see, is divided into two categories. Someone cooks food before Shabbat, then wishes to keep it warm until mealtime. It's allowed before Shabbat to wrap the pot or bury it in insulating material that will seal the heat in. But it's forbidden to use a material that will raise the temperature somehow with it. That is going to be forbidden. The sages saw that it would be permitted to use material that will raise the temperature. If it would have been able to raise the temperature, some people might think that they may as well use hot ashes from a fire with bits of hot coals in it. If they would do that, because they would feel that they are justified to do that, it's likely they would forget and stoke the coals on Shabbat naturally, which would be very problematic. The rabbis also instituted yet another rule here we're going to learn inside the Halacha of Shabbat. During Shabbat, it's forbidden to wrap or bury a pot of food in any material, whether or not it can raise the temperature of the food. Their rationale for this rule is that someone might plan to wrap his pot of food on Shabbat to keep it warm, but then when he goes to do that, he might discover that the pot has already become cold over here. In the frustration, he might reheat the food secretly over a fire and then wrap it. So that's the problem over here. So we're going to learn about Dinei Hatmana. Let's see how far we can get ourselves for today. Okay, friends, we're going to start off. We are in Siman 257. We're going to start off in Halacha Aleph and Bet. Aleph and Bet is actually combined together, this halacha over here. So let's see what it says over here, friends. So just change the angle of this a little bit. Maybe I'll go back a little bit. So now we're in a better position. Okay, so friends, let's start over here. Ein tomnin b'Shabbat afilu b'davar she'eno mosif hevel ואפילו אם התבשיל נתבשל כל צרכו ואף אם היה בדעתו מתחילה להטמין כזה להשמא ירתיח את התבשיל שהוא צונן כדי להטמינו אחר שנתחמם. So what's it saying here over here, friends? On Shabbat, it's forbidden to wrap anything around a pot of food or to bury the food in any insulating material, even if the material will not raise the temperature of the food. And even if the food has already been completely cooked, this is an act of Hatmana, insulating. Over here. כזה לשמא ירתיח את התבשיל שהוא צונן כדי להטמינו אחר שנתחמם ולכן אין להקל בזה אפילו בתבשיל שנתבשל כל צרכו. We cannot be lenient on this even if it's been totally cooked to its necessary needs. ולכן אין לכסות בשבת את הקדירה בשמיכות או בגדים או בצמר או הכיסוי יורד לדפנות הקדירה. Also, you're not going to be able to cover on Shabbat the pot with blankets or clothes or with let's say tzemer, the wool material. If it's going to drip down where the pot is, the walls of the pot is. Okay. Sages instituted this restriction to prevent people from... Okay, so yeah, you can't do all these things over here. You may not wrap the pots that is set on an electric warming tray or on a gas fire that's covered with a sheet of metal or asbestos. One may not... Okay. What about with regards to asking a non-Jew? It says, you cannot ask a non-Jewish person to do this for you. You might think that's going to be okay, but no, you can't. Aval besafek hashecha shu ben hashmashot. If it's already, we're not sure if it's ben hashmashot yet, that time period yet. So tomnin v'davar she'enu mosif hevel. Then you'll be allowed to insulate, if you're in that window of time, with something that's not going to increase this hevel at the time. If it's something that's going to increase hevel, let's just say, over here, this is going to be like residues of olives, for example, or sesame seeds after extracting the oil, or let's see what other things the Yalkut Yosef is saying, or melach sid v'chol, or or lime, or salt, or some of the sand kind of thing. Even before Shabbat, you cannot put those things as something that is as other thing. If you're going to use this before Shabbat, put those items in, like the salt and stuff like that, for the cooking, for the warming process. You must remove the wrapping before Shabbat actually begins. Over here, okay. So now we are going to be covering with blankets. Is that going to be allowed? Now we're in Halacha Gimel over here in the Yalkut Yosef here on Siman 257, friends. Let's go for it. You guys, remember, if you guys are benefiting from this or whatever it might be, please share the videos, watch it, and smash the like button on it. Okay. Halacha number 3, Gimel. Lechatchila ein latet smicha u'bagadim b'Shabbat al gabei ha'kdeira. You cannot put blankets or clothes on the k'deira. Gam im notena smicha al gabei ha'kdeira milmala. Even if you can put it on top of the pot itself, not draping down the walls of it, on top. Ve'ein asmicha yoredet ledafanot. And okay. V'amnam yesh mikelim b'davar. There are people that might be lenient on this matter. V'leda'atam ein din hatmana ele kesheha smicha noga'at b'dofnei ha'kdeira. Okay. So what's it saying here? Some poskim are lenient in this matter. They rule that the act of Hatmana is defined as wrapping material over the top and around the sides of the pot, not just putting it on the pot itself. Over here. ולדעת כן הוא דעת מרן השולחן ערוך. ולכן המקל בזה באופן שאין הבגד יורד לדפנות, יש לו סימוכין בהלכה. Okay, friends, what's it saying? Those poskim rule claim that is the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch as well. One who practices according to this lenient opinion and lays a blanket over the top, not draping on the walls, has a basis of what to rely on over here. So obviously, ideally don't do it, but there is some sort of basis if the person wants to do it. Now we're in Halacha Dalet at the moment. We're talking all about recovering a pot that became uncovered. For one reason or another, the pot became uncovered. Can you actually recover it or not? Is that going to be problematic or not over here? Okay, we're now in Halacha Dalet. אף על פי שאין טומנים בשבת, אפילו בדבר שאינו מוסיף הבל, מכל מקום בערב שבת מותר לכסות את הקדרה בשמיכות גם כשיורדים לצדדים. Okay, if someone wrapped a pot of food before Shabbat began with a material that does not raise the temperature of the food, remember, does not raise the temperature of the food, and during Shabbat the wrapping fell off for one reason or another, it's then allowed to re-wrap it over here. That's what it's saying of it. ואם טמן בעוד יום ונתגלה בשבת, מותר לכסותו. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you can actually re-wrap it if it fell off over here. וכן מותר לגלותו, כדי להוציא ממנו מאכל, ולחסו ולכסותו. And similarly, it's going to be permissible to take it out, take the food out, and then put it back, and to cover it also. So that's important נקודה. וכן אם רצה להוסיף עליו עוד שמיכות בגדים בשבת, או להחליפם מותר, if you want to add extra blankets or clothes on top of it, or to change it for one reason or another, then that's permissible. והוא שנתבשל כל צרכו. This is on condition that if it's totally cooked before. אבל אם לא נתבשל כל צרכו, אסור להוסיף על כיסוי הקדירה נמצאת על האש, or ala plata shall day bishul. If it's not totally cooked at that point in time, coming into Shabbat, not totally cooked, you cannot speed up the cooking process and improve the texture and improve the quality of the food itself by adding blankets at that point. This license is only if it's totally cooked. Now we are on Halacha number Hey in Siman 257, friends. We're talking about Hatmana on an electric warming tray over here. Okay, so let's go for it. You've got a pot of chulun of chamin, and you're putting it on the electric warming tray on Shabbat. Or al gaz dalok, and you've got this metal sheet that's separating the actual סמכו על הסוברים שגם בזה אין איסור הטמנה מערב שבת בדבר שלא מוסיף הבל. So what's it saying over here, friends? The custom permits wrapping the cloth around the sides of the pot, even all the way down to the bottom of the pot. This act of Hatmana is allowed if performed with material that does not raise the temperature of the food, and it's wrapped around the food before Shabbat actually begins. It says in parentheses over here, it is permitted even though the insulation enhances the cooking power of the fire under the pot over here. I'll add a note to that in a second. Okay, one thing we've got to add on. This actual thing which I just said about the Shulchan Aruch really says it's forbidden, but poskim testified that an established custom to follow this leniency preceded the ruling of the Shulchan Aruch and therefore supersedes it, according to this note over here. If you're going to be strict on this, you get a blessing on yourself. We're going to be careful. We don't want the clothes to drip down the walls of the pot. If the pot of food is left over an uncovered fire, then the correct procedure for one who wishes to cover it with a cloth is to place a wide tray or platter on top of the pot and drape the clothes over it. This will prevent the cloth from resting against the sides of the pot of food. The common custom is to be lenient in this matter and allow the clothes to drape over the pot itself. And there is a basis in the halacha for this leniency. Even so, it's best to prevent the clothes from resting against the pot sides. Okay, so that's that.